On the boardwalk by the quiet cove, salt on the rail, warm haze in the air. A small kiosk light hums in the breeze, and waves comb soft lines in the sand. Sun glow leaks through my cotton sleeve, wood planks creak under slow footsteps. A paper cup sweats on my palm. Lemon ice clinks like tiny glass. Sea wind threads through my headphones, and the shoreline blurs in pale gold. Let it loop this amber drift, like a signal riding low on the tide. I save this calm in red, only memory. Soft as foam, steady as the kick. Let it loop this amber drift until the bright edge turns gentle and thin. The sky slides toward muted peach, seagull stitch, wide arcs overhead. Distant laughter fades down the pier. A bicycle bell taps once, then gone. Street lamps wake with a tender glow, and sand cools under my heel. If the day starts to fragment, I gather the pieces in my pocket. Warm light accord the taste of salt and the hush between two waves. The kiosk light hums in the breeze, and the tide keeps its quiet signal. On a quiet river walk, frost clings to the rail. The street lamps blur in the thin white air. My gloves smell faintly of coffee and wool. Footsteps squeak on salt grit stone. A paper cup warms my palms through the sleeve. Breath draws soft circles on the foam glass. Let the city fade to a low steady hum, like signals settling into a gentle loop. I save this calm and red only memory, where nothing rushes, nothing blooms too loud. A slow train passes, windows breathe in, light metal wheels sing and slide into hush. I turn my scarf, feel the cold seam soften, and watch pale sky rinse the rooftops clean. Between each exhale and the next small step, there's room for silence to buffer the noise. On a quiet river walk, frost clings to the rail. Street lamps blur in the thin white air. Under an overpass, asphalt still dark from a light drizzle. Street lamps melt into the river and smear gold on the guardrail. Suspending coffee warms my palms through the thin paper cup. Train brakes sigh and the platform tiles taste of iron in the air. Neon spills in the puddles, soft halos on my shoes, while a distant bass hums like traffic breathing between lanes. Let the signals fade gentle out past the last intersection. I keep this quiet and read-only memory, nothing to rewrite. Loops of headlights stitch the wet street into a slow ribbon, and my thoughts sink up clean and steady in the night. A delivery bike glides by, chain clicking like small keys. Condensation beads on the window, cool against my fingertips. The crosswalk chirps, then drops back into low hush, and the city resets softly as the cars thin out. I breathe in the concrete rain smell and the toasted sugar air. Watch reflections drift until they lose their edges. For a moment, everything buffers, then clears, and the hum in my chest turns warm and even. Under the overpass, the river carries the lights downstream, and the street stays quiet, stitched in slow motion. On the narrow back street by the shuttered flower shop, clouds hang low, puddles hold streetlight color. Wet petals cling to my sleeve when I pass the fence. A paper cup warms my hands, bittersweet steam. A bike chain clicks twice in the alley, vinyl hiss in my headphones softens the scene. I tuck this quiet into read-only memory, let it loop under footsteps and passing tires. Signals fade in the glass of the storefront, but the melody stays a small, steady wire. At the corner, the crosswalk hums and turns, bus breath drifts out with a brief rush of heat. Neon spills across the gutter like ink, and my breath makes a pale little cloud in the street. Messages I never send, I listen to the city's gentle buffering. The air tastes like metal and tea, and my thoughts settle down, softly rendering. Petals float along the curb, unhurried. Puddles hold the street light color. Under a station awning, drizzle beads on the glass. Wet asphalt mirrors the signs, soft halos in each splash. Shoelaces darken with water, my jacket smells like paper and steam. The streetlight hum warms my fingers through the cup I keep between. A bus sighs past in low bass, puddles ripple like small screens. Let the signal fade gentle, leaving quiet in the loop. I save this calm and read-only memory, a pocket-sized proof Footsteps click like packets passing steady. Nothing to lose in the soft blur of the roadway. I keep moving, mute and smooth. A corner shop shuts its shutter, metal teeth kissing the frame. Wind pushes rain along the curb, drawing lines that look the same. Neon reflections bend and settle, then break when tires go through. I breathe in the damp concrete, hear my pulse under the drum. If the world keeps buffering softly, I can wait for what will come. Under a station awning, drizzle beads on the glass. Wet asphalt holds the light a moment, then lets it pass. Under the overpass, a river slides in slate light. Wind pushes down bare through a row of quiet bikes. Street lamp halos blur on the puddled stone. My fingertips warm a paper cup, steady and slow. The train's low hum shakes the railing close, and cool metal tastes like rain left on a coat. I keep this hush in red-only memory, soft packets of breath moving carefully. Footsteps fade, then return in a gentle loop, as if the city signal learned to soothe. A bus sighs open, then drifts away. Headlights comb the mist and pull it into gray. Neon folds into the wet sidewalk seams, and the river carries spare reflections downstream. Between two crosswalk beeps, the world feels thin, a small buffer of silence under my skin. I let it load without asking what it means, just holding the glow like folded linen. Under the overpass, the river slides on, and the last bright ripple keeps traveling on. Under the cafe awning, the sidewalk stays damp from a passing shower. Steam curls off a paper cup, drifting into the morning air. fingers circle the warm rim, cinnamon on my tongue. Scooters whisper past, and neon puddles shimmer in the gutter. A spoon taps porcelain, small silver bells in my palm, while the window glass breathes fog and clears again. I let the street lights blur like a gentle signal in soft focus, saving this quiet and red-only memory. No need to rewrite. Loops of footsteps and bus brakes keep the tempo steady as the day loads slowly, smooth and light. Clouds slide open a little and the rooftops turn pale gold. A vendor flips a sign, metal clicks, then settles into hush. My tote bag brushes my coat, fabric rasping like vinyl, and the air tastes clean like fresh water after the drain. Between sips I listen for the spaces where nothing happens and everything fits, a calm buffer holding the world without rushing it. Under the cafe awning, the sidewalk stays damp. Steam curls off a paper cup, drifting on. Under a small corner awning, damp air cools the sidewalk. A copper lantern glows in the cafe window, soft on the glass. Porcelain warms my palms, a mild rose scent rising slow. Sugar grains crackle lightly, then vanish in the swirl. Outside, tires whisper over wet asphalt, and neon puddles shimmer when the doorbell rings. I save this quiet in a gentle buffer, let it stream in steady, no rush to the edge. Your humming stays like a stable signal, a low-lit loop I can return to. Pages of a notebook turn thin and dry against my thumb. A clean guitar line drifts between the cups and chairs. Street lights slide across the window in amber bands, and the city breathes out softer than before. When thoughts begin to spike, I smooth the waveform, mute the corners, keep the tone warm, and the lanterns glow. The room feels analog, like tape rolling on, patient and kind. The copper lantern holds its color in the rain-dark street, and the last chord lingers, ready to loop again. At the quiet library window, gray drizzle blurs the courtyard. Pages breathe in my hands, and radiators tick behind the glass. Pencil graphite whispers on paper, soft and dusty on my fingertips. Coffee steam curls with a toasted scent, warm in my cheeks. Outside, wet stone steps shine under muted lamps. My headphones press a gentle hush around the room. I keep this calm in red, only memory. A small loop running steady under everything. Streetlight reflections ripple like a clean signal, carrying me forward line by line. A cart rolls past, wheels humming low across the tile. Loose notes flutter lightly, brushing my knuckles. The drizzle thins to a silver veil on the trees, and my breath fogs a little circle I can draw in. If the world gets noisy, I lower the gain. Let the room tone settle, let the edges soften. I watch the ink dry, patient and even, as if the day is buffering in a kinder way. Courtyard lights fade into the window's mist, and the page turns quiet, ready to loop again. On the boardwalk rail, warm wind rinses the salt. Sunlight bends on a glass bottle, amber and soft. Sand grains cling to my sneakers, rough underfoot. A paper cup sweats cold rings on my palm. Distant go calls blur into reverb, while low waves tap like fingertips on wood. I keep this calm in a quiet loop, playing underneath, signaling seafoam both steady in my ears. If the world goes noisy, I switch to low bandwidth, saving the shimmer in red, only memory. A tiny shell rolls when a bicycle passes. Tide marks draw thin lines on the concrete. Street lights wake one by one along the shore road, and the horizon cools from golden to blue. I watch my breath fog the bottle for a second, then it clears like a screen after a gentle wipe. No hurry, just the soft click of the latch holding this scene where it won't spill. In slow circles, still soft. On a quiet riverside path, cold air and pale street lights, frost dust the railing. My breath draws small clouds. Sneakers whisper on gritty stone. The river slides dark and slow. A paper cup warms my fingers. Cinnamon steam. Streetlight halo smear on wet pavement. Soft and silver. Bus tires hush past, leaving a faint salt slick scent. I save this calm in red, only memory. Tiny signals blinking under my coat. Let the world keep buffering in the distance, while my footsteps loop in a gentle glow. Morning grows grows lighter. Behind the bridge a thin blue wash. A train rumbles far away like bass under glass. I taste mint on my lip balm. Hear the zipper tick with each breath. Frost melts to beads on my sleeve, sliding like slow pixels. Hands in pockets, I count the small details. Metal rails, warm coffee, quiet water. A clean chord rings inside my chest, then fades, leaving room to focus. Cold air, pale street lights. I keep the calm in red. Only memory. Cold wind on the rail, street lamps blur in the glass as a light haze sails. Wool sleeves brush my wrist, paper cup warms my hands. Breath fogs the phone screen, footprints stitch the sand. A distant train sighs low, tires whisper on stone. Neon reflections ripple where the sidewalks groan. Let the signal drift gentle, not lost, just thin. A soft loop of footsteps settling under my skin. I save this quiet in red, only memory. Like pixels holding lantern light on the water sheen. Corner shop shutters down, bells fade out of range. A heater hums behind doors, steady and unchanged. I tuck one earbud deeper, feel the baseline glow. The river carries small lights where the slow currents go. No need to rush the page, let it load in its time. Between the breath and the beat, there's a clean little line by the river promenade. Cold wind on the rail, lantern light in the glass, and the night turns pale. Under the station awning, drizzle beads on the glass rail. Streetlights smear into amber on the wet tiles. Warm coffee in a paper cup steams against my palms. Bus brakes sigh, then fade behind a door of mist. Neon bends inside a puddle like liquid ink. My jacket holds the rain. Cool threads, soft weight. I keep this calm in red, only memory. A small loop playing under city breath. Signals blur, then settle into harmony. as footsteps cross the glass of the night. A train car clicks, metal bright and cold. Window reflections drift past storefront signs. From a corner bakery, sugar and heat spill out, and the pavement hums with low, steady drums. Between two crossings, I pause to listen close. Final crackle in the air, tape warm and slow. Let the noise wash thin, let the silence load until the next soft chord arrives. Under the station awning, drizzle beads on the glass rail. Street lights smear into amber on the wet tiles. On the boardwalk rail, sea wind lifts the salt. Clouds thin out, leaving a soft amber wash. Sand grains stick to my fingertips, warm and rough. A paper cup sweats cold rings on the wooden bench. Distant gold calls blur with the buskers' mellow chords. Sunlight flickers in my lenses like tiny glass shards. Let the shoreline loop, smooth as a muted kick. Signals in the tide, fading but never gone. I save this quiet in red, only memory, where the day's last color keeps running on. Footsteps drift farther, the pier lights start to hum. Towel snaps once, then settles against my bag. Ocean foam writes quick lines and erases them clean, like messages in transit passing through the screen. I breathe a mineral air, hear my pulse in the mix. Each exhale softens the edges of the scene. Hands in my pockets, I hold a single shell as if it's a small key to staying still. Sea wind on the boardwalk rail, and the loop runs on. Under the station awning, the air stays damp and cool. Street lights blur on the pavement like wet ink, ink, ink. My fingertips warm the paper cup, bitter espresso on my tongue. A train size pass, metal humming through my coat. Window glass trembles softly, and the sidewalk shines and pools. I fold the small receipt, its edges rough between my hands. Your voice drifts low, a signal riding gentle noise. I keep this quiet in red, only memory. Loops of light on the crosswalk, steady as a heartbeat. Save it, let it play, then fade back cleanly. The crowd thins out, sneakers whisper then disappear. Neon from the kiosk paints my nails a pale blue. I lean on a railing, taste of mint from a worn out gum. Buses glide like silent frames, one after another. If the world gets loud, I lower the gain and listen closer. Between the keys and breath, there's room to rest. And under the station awning, the air stays damp and cool. Street lights blur on the pavement like wet ink. On the quiet apartment balcony, a cool gray breeze moves the ivy. A thin cloud drifts past the street lamp and softens the glow. Warm mug in my hands, ceramic heat against my palms. Floorboards creak low, and the hallway smells like fresh laundry. The curtain brushes my wrist, and dust turns slow in the light. A distant train hums, fading behind the buildings. I keep this calm and red, only memory. A small signal under the city's soft machinery. Let the night loop gently, steady and clean, like a quiet buffer holding what I need. The wind shifts, cooling out, carrying a hint of wet stone. Elevator cables sing faintly, then settle back to silence. I set the mug down, hear the porcelain kiss the table, and watch the ivy shadows braid and unbraid on the wall. If my thoughts start to scatter, I smooth them like paper. One slow breath, one soft phrase, let the edges align. The ivy keeps moving in the gray balcony breeze, and everything else learns to follow. In the quiet laundromat, warm air fogs the front glass. Street lights smear amber on the wet sidewalk outside. A paper cup of coffee cools against my palm. Soap and steam drift through the room like soft perfume. Coins click then settle, the drum begins to turn. Neon from the corner store trembles in a puddle skin. I keep this calm in a private loop. Low lights, low chords, nothing to prove. Signals soft and edges blur like a faded print. Saving the hush in red, only memory, minute by minute. The cycle ends and I fold a towel still warm. Cotton fibers brush my fingers clean and bright. Outside a bus exhales, tires hiss along the curb. Window reflections stack and slide as the city moves on. I breathe in, then out, and the room gets lighter. Just one steady rhythm holding everything together. Amber smears on the wet sidewalk outside, and the last chord hangs like a lamp over vinyl. By the campus window, a pale sky drifts low. Steam from a paper cup blurs the glass in slow halos. Pencil graphite dust on my fingertips, soft and gray. Pages whisper when I turn them, like linen brushing skin. A radiator clicks, warm pulses under the desk. And the hallway air tastes faintly of rain-soaked coats. I keep this calm and red, only memory. Small signals settling into a steady loop. Breath on the window, a quiet checksum. Nothing to fix, just let it run through. The clouds thin a little, footsteps fade to a hush. Highlighters glow like tiny streetlights across the margin. My headphones hum with velvet bass, low and clean, while the notebook holds my thoughts in neat rows. If a worry arrives, I watch it buffer at the edge. Then exhale and it clears like fog from a lens. By the campus window, the pale sky drifts on, steam from a paper cup, and the lines keep moving. Under the station awning, spring drizzle on the sidewalk. Lantern light spills across petals stuck to my sneakers. Warm paper cup in my palm, steam fogs the glass rail. Rubber soles whisper on wet towel, buses sigh and roll. The guitar chord hangs soft in the air, honey brown and slow. Vinyl hiss in my earbuds like dust on a window. I follow the crosswalk, go step by step in a gentle loop. Street lights blink, a quiet signal through the puddle's mirror. Saving this calm and red, only memory, nothing to rewrite. Just petals and asphalt, sinking with the mellow drums. The rain thins out, a breeze lifts a sleeve of pink confetti. Convenience store chimes fade behind me, small and bright. Neon from a distant sign paints watercolor on the curb. My fingers trace the cup seam, finding the same warm line. A passing train turns to a low hum, then dissolves. I breathe in the damp air, let the city buffer my thoughts. Crosswalk light drifts on wet stone, petals sliding by, the soft chord returns and the street keeps breathing. On the rooftop stairwell, concrete still warm after dusk. A vending light flickers on wet railings. Sneakers whisper over grit and tiny pebbles. Steam from street bowls curls into the cool air. Neon spills across a puddle like paint, and my jacket smells faintly of coffee and rain-soaked cloth. I keep this quiet and red, only memory. Soft signals drifting, asking to be loud. Every breath loops gentle, clean and steady as the city hums in the background. A train glides by, windows turning into mirrors. Headphones warm my ears with velvet lows. The wind carries paper receipts down the lane, and the crosswalk glow fades into the next block. If the day was heavy, I let it buffer, watching reflections settle into place. I don't chase the noise, I just let the lights pass through. Rooftop stairwell, concrete cooling after dusk. A distant engine purring into blue. Under the station awning, the sidewalk shines after a light drizzle. Bus headlights ribbon across the puddles, silver and slow. Paper cup warmth in my palm, bitter cocoa on my tongue. Rubber soles whisper on wet tiles as a train sighs out. A vending machine hums in soft neon colors, and cold air smells like metal rails and rain cooled stone. Let the street lights blur into a gentle signal, looping in my chest, steady and low. I save this quiet in red, only memory, so it won't fade when the crowd starts to flow. Down the stairwell, the handrail is cool against my fingers. A distant crosswalk chime melts into rolling wheels. Window reflections drift like slow-moving pixels as I breathe in the night, clean and teal. If the city gets too loud, I turn the volume down inside my head. Between each breath, there's room to listen for the softest things the asphalt says. Under the station awning, the sidewalk keeps shining, and the puddles carry light like a lullaby. By the station underpass, the sidewalk shines. Clouds hang low, a soft gray morning. Rubber soles whisper over wet stone. Coffee steam fogs the rim of a paper cup. Street lights fade behind smeared window glass. A bus sighs past, leaving a cool metallic air. I keep this quiet on a low, steady loop. Signals drift in and out like distant trains. Nothing loud, just a gentle buffer of sound, holding the day in red, only calm. Lifts yesterday's flyers. Neon paint on puddles turns into muted gold. My jacket collar catches tiny beads of water. Footsteps sync with the kick, soft and slow. Between one crossing and the next, I listen for the space between snares. Let the city blur, let it settle like tape warming up before the take. By the station underpass, sidewalk shine. I keep this quiet on a low, steady loop. By the cafe window, the street's still damp from a passing shower. Steam curls off a paper cup, soft light on the wooden counter. A spoon taps porcelain, a small bright ring in the room. Cinnamon and espresso linger, warm on the breath. Outside, bus tires whisper on the wet asphalt. Neon signs melt into puddles, stretching like paint. Hold this calm in red, only memory. Let the noise fade to a distant signal. Every blink a light, a gentle loop returning. I save the quiet, and it saves me back. Pages turn slowly, fingertips rough on the edges. A chair slides back, then settles like a soft drum hit. The barista hums a line lost under the grinder. Clouds thin out and the glass brightens little by little. In the pause between sips, the room becomes a buffer. Enough space for breath, for thought, for simple color. Steam on the window, the street's still damp. A warm cup in both hands, and the day moves softly. On the riverside underpass, drizzle beads on the railing. Street lights smear honey on the stone. My paper cup warms my palms, coffee and steam on my glasses. Sneakers kiss the damp pavement, soft grit underfoot. A passing bus sighs low, windows blinking like quiet pixels. Vinyl hiss in my earbuds, rounding every edge. I keep this calm in red, only memory. A small glow I won't overwrite. Signals drift through the puddles, mirror looping gentle, holding light. The crosswalk hums and fades, a green wash on my sleeves. Raindrops tap the guardrail, tiny knocks in steady time. I turn the corner by the laundromat, warm air and soap. Neon reflections ripple, then settle back to smooth. Breathe in, breathe out, the city stays soft around me. Like tape, saturation, smoothing yesterday's sharp lines. Streetlights smear honey on the stone, and the puddle keeps its velvet tone. The corner station, the sidewalk shines after a brief shower. Street lamp halos blur on the glass doors, and a warm draft carries coffee and metal. My earbuds hum with a soft sine glow, while wheels whisper along the curb. Neon reflections ripple in a shallow puddle. Cool air touching my knuckles, a receipt in my pocket crinkles like paper snow, and the rails taste faintly of iron. I keep this calm in red, only memory, gentle and steady in the background. Signals drift through the city like breath on a window, then settle into a loop. No need to rush change the buffer of the night. Just let the waveform hold its shape. A late bus sighs and pulls away, leaving a low bass throb in the street. Bending light spills over tiled steps, and my tongue catches a hint of mint gum. Footsteps fade to softer pixels, the block turning quieter with each crosswalk. For a moment I listen between sounds, fabric, engine, distant chatter. The world compresses into warm chords, and my thoughts unspool in slow motion. Under the awning by the corner station, the sidewalk stays softly luminous. My voice rides the vocoder haze, and the city keeps breathing on. Under the bookstore awning, the sidewalk stays glossy after a passing shower. A paper cup warms my palms, and streetlights melt into the window glass. Soft sneakers whisper on wet stone, and the bus sighs at the curb. Steam from the cup carries cinnamon and paper drifting through my scarf. Guitar chords ripple like light on puddles, gentle and close. I keep this calm in red, only memory a quiet file that won't corrupt. Signals blur in the street reflections, but the groove stays in sync. Every small sound becomes a soft backup, saved on a loop of warmth. A train passes somewhere behind the walls, its bell a distant shimmer. Pages turn in the corner cafe, and a pen clicks in steady rhythm. The night air tastes like rain on brick, then fades to clean breath. For a moment I listen between notes, the hush where thoughts rebuffer and settle. Under the bookstore awning, the sidewalk keeps its classy glow. I let the chord ring out and carry it home. On a quiet tram stop, the sky hangs low with silver clouds. Streetlight reflections tremble on the wet tiles. Paper cup warmth in my palms, faint citrus on my sleeve. The hum of buses passing, soft rubber on the street. Neon from a shop sign pools in a shallow puddle, and my notebook edge curls where the mist found it first. I keep this calm and red, only memory, letting the noise drift out of range. Your name is gone, but the signal stays, a gentle loop that never asked for more. A train door sighs open, cool air and metal rails. Bench paint rough under my fingertips. I step inside as the city blurs to watercolor. Headphones whisper, steady as a buffered tide. Between stations, the lights blink once and settle, like a cursor breathing on a blank page. I listen for the smallest details returning, shoelaces tapping time against the floor. Next stop, silver cloud still clings to the street. And reflections keep their quiet on the wet tiles. Under the station awning, drizzle beats on the metal rail. Steam from a streetcar drifts past the glass. My palm warms a paper cup, its rim smells like roasted beans. Tire spray writes silver arcs on the asphalt. Neon from a vending row shimmers in puddles. A bus door sighs and the cool air tastes like rain. Let the chorus blur like pixels on a wet window. Soft signals folding into a steady loop. I save this quiet and red only memory, then let it play light after light after light. The train pulls away, reflections slide down the tunnel. My scarf brushes my chin, damp with mist. Across the street a mailbox gleams lacquered red, and the sidewalk hums with footsteps and low bass. I watch my breath fade on the screen on my phone. Thumbprint smudges turning street lights into halos. Between messages, the silence holds its shape. A small buffer where the city rests. Drizzle beats on the metal rail, and the loop keeps walking with me. On the balcony by the laundromat sign, the sky stays late. Water beats on the railing, street light melts on the wet lane. A paper cup warms my palm, cinnamon steam on my breath. Keys click softly, blue light on my fingertips. Vinyl crackle underneath, bus tires whisper past, leaving ripples in the puddles below. I save this quiet and red only memory, letting it loop without strain. Signals blur in the glass, but the chords keep everything in range. Clouds thin a little, a distant train bell turns into hum. My scarf tastes faintly of rain-soaked wool, and the air feels clean. A neighbor's door shuts gently, the hallway light fades to amber. I pause, listening to the room tone between notes. Breathing with the drum brush, I let the tape warmth settle. Street light melts on the wet lane, slow and steady.